All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. It's been a slow couple of days since the video reported. We've been holding up these highs, moving slow. But today, although the market moved a little bit with a lot of headlines, there was something big that happened beneath the surface, and now the market is agreeing with the Fed. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here is the handy-dandy rate cut monitor tool. You could go to investing.com and go search this up if you ever wonder where we find this, but you are now pricing in 3 rate cuts for the end of the year on the Fed futures. That means the Fed futures are pricing in what the Fed and the dot plot have been communicating. So it was kind of near this the other day. We just fully moved into it today, and like I said, you had a lot of data there, but there was kind of a mixed reaction all the while. You do have bond yields not doing too good while the market is remaining elevated and near all-time highs. So, Chad, we got a couple of things to talk about. We still have data for the end of the month. We still have Powell coming up in a couple of weeks, and then we still got some earnings and a couple more plays, and I even have a big biotech. We talked about it yesterday. I decided to make a move on it today, so we're going to cover all that, but what I need from you, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/The Stack Market. We will see you there in the morning. Run it, baby.
Walking to the couch, it's a 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down.
Right off the bat, there is a lot of different places we could start with on the day. You had VKTX. They came out with data. Then they said somebody wanted to buy them out. Eli Lilly. It's related to GLP-1. They went up 100%. Beyond went crazy after bad earnings after hours. Apple got rid of their car driving unit and said they're going to put the people towards AI that they keep. The stock rallied up. More drama with Google, but they ended up doing good. Then you had all of the data, but like I'm saying here, this has kind of been the theme as we've been moving slow. All these headlines, the market is still struggling for direction. In the long term, or even the midterm, that direction is up. That is that optimism that we have been going through as of lately, or I guess since October. But in the short term, like I'm saying, the last couple of days here, we haven't really been moving and maintaining these prices. But like we talked about yesterday, it's not as if people are really looking for an exit as much as we're seeing rotation. And once again, just like we talked about it yesterday, it doesn't show up, but the Russell went up like 1.3%. Even the NASDAQ was green. SPY barely moved up, and the Dow was barely down. But all in all, you did see more rotation, and for most of the day, those big cap names, they weren't the only things moving up crazy, causing a big effect, and it was a lot of the other names, and you were getting that broadening out factor. Now, the only other part about today, and this is where I think the reactions were quite interesting, we were down most of the day till things settled down a little bit. Bonds were all over the place, but so was the data, and the market too kind of was a lot like yesterday. We started off pretty weak and then just started edging down most of the day. Data didn't really have an effect. We actually had a good bond auction, and you'll notice bonds took a bounce, so did the market. Market was bouncing literally from the moment of the bond auction all the way till the end of the day, but then the bonds faded that after like 25 minutes, and then they came right back down. So the data, like I'm saying here, there was just everything. You had durable goods. They were down big because of Boeing. Consumer confidence came in low. They revised it lower. House prices ended up going high. Richmond manufacturing came in weaker, and then services like weaker, but not, or like more weaker than expected. There was a couple of different prices. I think even Richmond prices ended up going up. So a lot of different data sets. The reaction has been quite weird. The thing I said this week, it was kind of like 2 weeks ago. Bond auction good, didn't really matter today. Yes, we're coming off 2 bad bond auctions, but even with all the data, in a weird way, it seems as if the bonds are not reacting to anything, even if it would be bad news, good news, or good news, bad news. It's just every news has been bad news for the bonds, and we've been getting some interesting reactions. So all in all, I think this is part of finding the direction, and now I think it does relate into what we're dealing with tomorrow. We're not really making too big or powerful moves because, once again, I think we're waiting for the big data. So tomorrow, we do get the GDP estimates, the preliminary ones. They could pack a little bit of the punch because you have been getting a lot of GDP headlines, even the Fed talking about it. If you go on Trading Economics and you go see the chart that we have for tomorrow, you got to go up to GDP again. It's tomorrow morning, I think an hour before the bell. If you go over like the quarter-over-quarter estimate, remember this 4.9 number? Everybody, the Fed was talking about it. People were feeling good about it. Last time it came in lower than expected, but still pretty elevated. This could get a lot of headlines, and it could have people feeling a certain way about the economy, the soft landing prospects, all that good stuff. So there is a chance we get a move off of it, and on top of it, last couple of mornings here, we've been starting off pretty weak. There hasn't really been any drivers, so maybe this gives us something depending on whether or not it is status quo or actually moves the needle. And then finally, Thursday morning, I think if we are going to get a move that packs the punch, we're probably going to be waiting on PCE as a driver. And then have no fear, because even if this week doesn't have anything, I mean, before you know it, next week or the week after that, we are going to be entering into the final runway ahead of the Fed. More big data comes out, and then it's Powell. And then before you know it, you're going to have answers to if this is going to stop or it keeps going and all the other stuff. But now finally, I already told you guys this. You already know the rate cut odds. They are now matched up with the Fed. So the final thing, and like I'm saying, when it's all said and done, we will get our reaction, I think, in the next couple of weeks as we get into Powell, and definitely after Powell, and a summary of economic projections, because now as the market is getting to a point where it's holding up and the rate cut odds are now matched up with the Fed, what happens if the Fed changes where those dots are in the next short couple of weeks, or maybe they go lower. So anything could happen. Who knows with Powell nowadays, but this is what I'm saying. Right now, it's either the markets haven't reacted or this is pretty much the reaction, and this was justified. So we're going to find out, but it's been very interesting on a fixed income bond perspective and how people are focusing on things. And like I'm saying, this final point, it's very important because with everything going on, yes, you will need to exhibit patience, and we've been talking about this. This is the policy shift. This is the main theme of the year. It is these rate cuts, how it plays out, how the market reacts, when they happen, if they happen, how they happen. Those answers will probably dictate where we end up. Maybe not how the journey looks, which is where we're on right now. But Chad, I hope you're ready for it. Let's close out the rest of the week. We're getting to the middle. Should be exciting, but now let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got a couple of different plays, but I'm going to just start with the Biotech. This is the one I brought up yesterday, and yesterday I did not have a play on this, so I made a watch list video about it. We talked about it. That's why I made 4 plays, because like we said, earnings was wrapping up. There's a couple of Biotechs, again, VKTX, and a few others. I mean, you're seeing all this different activity. Literally, VKTX, that was just data today. We had that play. We sold out at the end of last year for small gains, and then went up 100% in a day. But GG if you got it. That one was absolutely amazing, but I've been feeling a little risky with it, and I wanted to go with Biotechs. I talked about PTN and why this one was unique, and simply I ended up going with it from yesterday. I decided to make a purchase, and I grabbed 2,000 shares of it today. My average is around like 371, and this is what I learned this morning, and it related to the theme with like the VKTX. They also have a GLP-1 drug. I'm a little skeptical about that. I'll talk about that in a second, but the main point with this whole entire play with PTN is that they announced, even on their earnings February 5th, by the end of February, they were going to release data, or phase 3 data, I believe, on one of their trials for a dry eye drug. So yes, they have GLP-1 drugs, and then they have a dry eye drug. That's why I'm skeptical. It seems like they're all over the place, from obesity to dry eyes, right? So that made me ask a couple of questions, but the real play with this is simply I am expecting a catalyst to come out by Friday. Either we sell the news when it comes out, or maybe it's good news, we get a big pop, and then I'll probably still sell out anyway. So I am looking to flip or swing this. The only problem I have with this stock, it is really illiquid. Doesn't really trade that much in volume. It is a cheap stock. The market cap's not that high, and I kind of get flashbacks. I talked about it today. I haven't really been trading some of these illiquid bios, and if I learned anything from last year, anytime I'm really getting clapped, especially if I've been hitting other stuff, I'll take a bigger loss, especially if I go big on an illiquid bio. So be careful with this, but this is the first play. I am going to be watching this. And like I said, I got my position. That is play number 1. Then play number 2. I also have a position. I've been swing trading this one for months. Hopefully we get our breakout tomorrow, but I do think this will be a good earnings play tomorrow morning. So there's a huge range on the stock, especially if they do good or if they do bad. I've been trading anywhere from like 90 to like 120, even like close to 130. This thing will move a lot, especially if there's a big earnings catalyst. Only problem, Baidu does not really move that big on earnings. So it's not really one of those companies that moves insane after earnings. I think in the last year, it hasn't really had moved more than like 6 or 7% day after earnings. So keep that in mind. But the way I'm looking at it, I think tomorrow it's going to have a big reaction. Then right off the morning, probably going to move 3 or 4%. You usually see that with some of those China stocks, especially if it's a huge reaction, or it'll kind of make one big move and then stayed pinned the rest of the day. Then it'll be Thursday and Friday, not move much. And then this might be something you'll want to look a little bit out into next week, especially as we get more data. Now, I do think it'll be the former. I'm expecting bigger moves, more fireworks. There's a lot of eyes on this related to China, the recovery and all that. So we will see. I'm still in those 500 shares. I've been up on them at the beginning of the year. Now I'm down on them. Tomorrow I will be at the mercy of the earnings. So we'll see how that one plays out. But that is play number 2. And then finally, I feel like a schmuck for this one. Play number 3, man, oil. I double dipped on it. I grabbed an MCL, yes, after I sold out for small gains. And I've been trading a small MCL, so realistically, I think it's like $100 for every dollar that oil moves. Not anything too crazy, but I repositioned higher than even where I was yesterday. But they are now trading at the higher end of this low range they've been in. There was OPEC news, and I said, you know what, let me play the reaction. Thought it'd be move a little bit more, but it didn't. So I'll probably get out of this one tomorrow or maybe by the end of the week. But the thing I'm saying here with oil is like when you pull it out here, you got to go a little further back. But this is what I mean. Like you're at the high end of that like lower range. I mean, even if you go back to the end of 2022, I mean, last time you were above 80, we barely stay above 80. There's 1 point last year, end of the year, remember when the market was getting rampaged, and then ever since then we started rallying. So it's an interesting spot here, and I know a lot of people are keeping eyes on it, but it has had trouble going up and staying up and maintaining. So I want to see how it plays out, but it does attract me there for some of the momentum moves. One thing I am looking for tomorrow is like if it does break out, keep in mind some of those intraday sell-off and then bounce moves. We made good money trading that intraday. I'm going to look for that tomorrow again, kind of going up. Good news, OPEC. There's a little bit of bad, I think it was like API numbers or storage numbers after the bell today, but depending on how things play out, we'll see. There is going to be potential ceasefire news, or at least Biden was talking about that today, so watch out how that plays. But in general, watch for some big moves intradays, especially if there's just a giant sell-off after things have been generally good. So keep that in mind. That is play number 3. As far as everything else, I did make a couple of moves. I did sell out of Redfin for the pre-earnings play we got out before today. Then I sold out of Snowflake a little early. Got like 20 or 30%, but it was only like 10, 20 bucks. Sold out of Celsius. This was a pre-earnings play from like a week or two ago. I made this play free, but it was up 200%, a little higher than I sold the first one to make it free. And I was like, you know what? I'll just take it lately. Any of these pre-earnings, if we've been up a couple 100% ahead of the earnings, it was a better idea to take it. But then again, so is the ARM, and I'm glad we held that one. I did make 1,000%er, 3-minute flip off of news on UNH, 3 cents into 39, woohoo. But that one didn't really count. Then I grabbed the Baidu earnings play, just one to the downside for 26 cents. That's 2 standard deviations. TKO, 11 cents to the upside, and then eBay, 15 cents to the upside. Then we bought PTN today. Then I did grab an Advanced Auto Parts. They report tomorrow morning. Put $20 down. I forgot this was the other one. I wanted to flip these at the end of the day, but they ended up going down, so I think I decided to hold on with it, but they had more of the value there, and then I think that was pretty much it. Oh, yes, how can I forget? I think it was just up there. I also sold out of Cart. If you guys remember, I bought Instacart around like $27. I had 1,000 shares, sold out around 32 bucks, made around $5,000, about 4,400 net, because remember, I spent $600 on those puts, so still have 2 weeks of puts. Maybe the stock comes down and we can make money on it, but out of that swing trade, been in that since like October, November of last year. And then I also closed out of the Unity from yesterday for about like $200. So still in booking from earlier. That was a clapped earnings play. Did not get to go into the HIMs. Not in anything else. Still in a clap bond and a clapped ES. Kind of regret selling the Russell, but for now, still not really expecting too much drama because only 2 weeks, and then Powell has the whole world in his hands. But now for you, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydra Healthy ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to take some peace in the fact that there is a destiny. You are right where you should be, right where you are at this moment in time. Everything you have needed to accomplish whatever you need to do, you have just enough, my friend. So take peace in that. Make some good decisions moving forward with that in mind. But Chad, I love you. Drink that water. Stay hydrated. Stay healthy. I will see you in the AM and Horn.